Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review for Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1. I'm not sure where I put it. I had a whole list of theories, but am I satisfied with how accurate some of my theories were? Once again, there will be no spoilers in this video. I mean, there will be minor, so I mean, if you don't want to know anything, then I suggest not watching non-spoiler reviews. But if you want to get a general sense of the season, if it's something that you should be interested in watching versus if you should stay away from it, if you're just worried about the season, or if you just want some reassurance going in, anything like that, I'm going to cover some pretty vague bases. One preface before I start is that I had to get up early, take a 6-hour flight, sat in 2 hours of traffic, came back to the apartment in LA, did a bunch of cleaning and grocery shopping, slept for 1 hour, made dinner, watched Stranger Things for 9 hours, and now I'm filming this. So if my wording is so terrible that I just can't fix it in editing, then I apologize. But, you know, priorities. So I'm excited to talk about this, and I'm just so happy that Stranger Things is back. I know that so many of us have been waiting so long for it to come back. And I want to say right off the bat, it is the most satisfying return ever. It feels so much like Stranger Things at its core. And of course, all 3 seasons of Stranger Things feel like Stranger Things. But I'm sure many of you noticed this as well, but season 3 had a very different tone. It had a whole different color palette. It's a different season, different vibes, different look at the 80s. And this kind of carries that over a little bit visually in some aspects, but in a lot of respects too, it feels so at its heart like season 1 and 2 again. And some plot lines that, or some character relationships or things like that you haven't seen in a while that you miss from seasons 1 and 2, you get to revisit, which is really exciting. And anything that felt unfinished in season 3, to me personally, I felt also was resolved in these first 7 episodes. So that was really exciting. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there right off the bat. And then the next thing I want to talk about, and I think it's important to talk about this early on and just to make sure that people are generally aware of it, are some content warnings going into watching this season of Stranger Things. I'm not sure how many of you noticed, but they did change the rating on the show from TV-14 to TV-MA, mature. Totally the right move. This definitely was up a rating, and not just for language or gore or anything like that. It is scary. It covers some intense things, starting with the first 8 minutes, which I did react to, and they did release it online a few days ago. So those of you who have seen the first 8 minutes of Stranger Things, that is kind of a glimpse into how scary it is. And when I say it's scary, I mean my roommate and I were hugging each other, and I was terrified. I was so scared. I was jumping. I screamed at one point. I thought that I was worried that like something was behind me. I am not good. I mean, granted, I am not good with scary things at all. Like at all. And every time someone's been like, "Oh, Stranger Things is so scary," I only ever thought the first season was scary. And everything else to me has been fine. It's been completely manageable. So I guess Stranger Things has been my threshold. The first 3 episodes in particular are very scary, at least in my opinion. I mean, if you like horror movies, it's probably just the perfect amount for you, or maybe it's not even scary at all. But I was quaking. I was so terrified. It's so suspenseful. There are jump scares, and it's disgustingly violent. That is just something that I think people should be aware of going in. because my necklaces are all messed up and it's going to bug me this whole video. Specifically, in terms of the violence, there's a lot of blood, a lot of like mangled bodies, and just general gore in general, but not the same kind of gore as season 3. It's more realistic, grounded kind of gore, which makes it worse in my opinion and harder to stomach. They do put a warning in front of the first episode in light of the recent events in Texas, which I thought was very responsible of them, and I was wondering if they were going to do that, because as you guys know, I posted my reaction to the first 8 minutes a little bit later on, and by the time that I posted my reaction to that and was editing it and everything, the shooting in Texas had already happened, and it hit very different watching it the first time without that like in my brain versus editing it and watching it again and knowing that those are current events right now. Especially throughout the season, honestly, you see dead children and it's not easy. You don't see them dying, but just the nature of the gore, I think responsibly Stranger Things put a warning in front of the first episode, but I just want to put it out there that it's not only seen in the first episode, it is seen I don't think it's in every episode, but it's in most of them, glimpses of that, and that's just something that I think is important for people to know if that's something that they can't handle, because you don't want to watch something that could trigger you. So those are the main warnings. There are flashing lights, but that's not new to Stranger Things at all, so I think it's good. It's not, I don't even think the flashing lights aren't even as bad as they were in like season 1. So it's manageable. But yeah, those are some warnings, and now we can talk about some other fun stuff. I love the way that, as I said before, this season is very satisfying. It feels like a natural penultimate season. It really anything that felt choppy or like it wasn't flowing in the first 3 seasons, anything that even remotely you could have had a feeling about that was similar to that, feels so resolved in this season. And it's not even over. That's the exciting thing. And there's a whole nother season after this. And it's just really, for lack of a better word, and I keep saying it, but it's satisfying. The Duffers have said on many occasions that around the time that the first season came out, they drafted up a plan and they knew about the Upside Down and the origins and the other numbers and all this stuff, and they knew kind of how the seasons would arc. And obviously little things have changed along the way, but they've known the big base of their story and the pivotal moments. And I'm sure many creators say that, but I believe them because if it checks out. English. They make everything work together so seamlessly, and I'm so impressed as a writer to see how they made everything work together so seamlessly, especially when they're dealing with so many different plot lines. As you see from the trailer, there's the Hopper plot line, the Murray and Joyce plot line, the California plot line with like Elle's bullying and Mike visiting and all that, and then there's the Jonathan and Argyle plot line, and then there's everything in Hawkins, which is a whole other plot lines, and there's multiple plot lines in Hawkins too. So there's a lot, and it feels like it shouldn't work, but it does. It feels very natural. And honestly, every time that I was starting to think while watching it, because I was starting to think while watching it, like, oh, I kind of miss these characters, like, can we go back to them? I feel like we haven't visited them in a minute. When you do go back to them, and sometimes it'd literally be right as I start to think that, I'm like, oh, I feel like it's time to check in with so-and-so, and then the next scene, it's so-and-so. But they weaved the timeline together very nicely too. It doesn't feel like they're jumping back and forth in time, and that's really refreshing too. I don't want to say anything else about like what's satisfying or what is answered or not answered, plot lines or anything like that, because that will make me venture into spoiler territory, and I'm too deprived of sleep to trust myself with that. But the other thing, I have two other things I wanted to talk about. One was the CGI. Really good in some scenes. There's only, I think it's only one episode where the CGI in just certain moments, I was like, but on the whole, it actually looks really good, and they do a really, really good job of, per usual, blending the worlds and blending practical effects with digital effects, and kind of building on the Upside Down and on Hawkins and on the lore of this whole Stranger Things story without it looking cheap or without it feeling cheap. Everything felt authentic, and it feels like we're just making these discoveries at the time where it's natural for the characters to be making these discoveries. So, again, satisfying. And it's very well woven and very well written and very well acted. Honorable mentions, just in a non-spoilery kind of way. Unsurprisingly, Sadie Sink as Max is doing incredible. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not going to talk about any other characters because I don't want to spoil anything else. But overall, I am so excited about this season, and I'm so happy with it. And I'm so impatient because I just want the last 2 episodes. But I'm trying. Honestly, it feels kind of like a blessing to know that there's 2 more episodes down the line, and it sucks having to wait for them. But this was a lot to take in, and I think that a lot of you will agree with me when you finish this season. It's long. It's 9 hours long, and it's like only 7 episodes, and it doesn't feel long when you're watching it, or at least it didn't to me. I wasn't like, oh, this is really dragging on. I didn't want it to end. I honestly felt like they could have kept going on for hours and hours and hours, and I would still be on the edge of my seat the entire time, because everything that they were doing with every character was so interesting and so cool and just so exciting as a fan. So we've gotten a lot of content, so I'm gonna rewatch it, honestly, probably many times. I already want to start rewatching it again, but I know responsibly I should probably go to sleep. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to continue to rewatch it, and I think that by the time us as a society and fans have kind of sort of digested these first 7 episodes, then we'll be ready for the last 2 mega episodes of this season. And also that means 5 weeks less of wait time for Stranger Things season 5. Just felt right. It just felt satisfying. And I've really overused that word, and I'll try not to use it as much in my spoiler review, which I will do after I watch the season again, because I've been making notes, but I definitely want to be in depth and really dig in deep and talk about some of the things, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, not just as a general Stranger Things fan, but like stuff that I personally really want to freak out about, and I know that some of you who watch my channel will also really freak out about. So I'm very excited to dive into this, and I'm really, really, really excited to hear all of your thoughts on it too. So please comment down below if you have any. I'm just so satisfied. Sorry. If you any theories, thoughts, opinions, fears, questions that I can answer or reply to for you, please let me know. So I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, or form. I especially wanted to make this video because of the warnings. I really wanted to get those out there, and I also just wanted to put it out there that it is worth the long haul watch that it is, because it's really freaking brilliant. The whole season, it's brilliant, and I'm so proud of the Duffer Brothers and Sean and all of the writers and the cast and the crew and everyone who worked on this. They all did such a good job individually and as a team, and this finished product is so brilliant. But overall, definitely worth the watch. Definitely don't watch it in the middle of the night while you're alone if you're a scaredy cat. Maybe watch it in the light of day and around other people. But I made it through it. So that's something. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see my spoiler review and a lot more coverage of Stranger Things going forward, especially in the next 5 weeks, because I have so much to talk about. And I'm so glad. I am so glad I didn't do a second. Oh, no, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I have videos that I'm glad I haven't posted yet, that I can post now, or film, add a little bit more to, and film, and then post now that this season has come out, because chef's kiss. All right. I hope you all stay safe in your journey through the Upside Down. Stay strange, and I love you all very much. And please get some sleep if you did the same thing I did and stayed up all night to watch this. I love you. Have a good day, everyone.